or Overlord, it's normally the case where they kind of use the Unbridled Outburst beast form. Simply because he does not have critical damage, everything converts into physical attack. He's going to be one of the most damaging farm lanes available in the game.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be hard for the Zhuangzi to actually get up on the Shoyu unless he just has really bad placement, which we know Destro does not have. But I feel like this really opens up the limelight to be shined onto Lemesh on this Mai Shiranui, and I'm so here for it.
Yeah, exactly. This early game is going to be very vital, and Petroni is going to be outranged at this point. I don't think there's going to be much things he can do in the early parts of this game.
Yes, I mean, this region's really shaping up to everything that I wanted it to be, right? It was a great fight. If we was getting the full best of threes, we got a Tempest Dragon, and we've got some really nice fresh picks, right? We thought it was all down to the JPKR region with the Agudo and stuff like that, but now we're getting the Shoyu come through, and it's just everything that I wanted and more. Honestly, we love the Open Series for these things alone.
Yeah, we have to keep our eyes on Destro for that wild win, right? The moment he gets a snipe in, it's going to be extremely painful.
Yeah, especially onto the squishier heroes on the side of Influence Rage, like the Lung and like the Lady Chen as well. Try dropping that Destruction Deluge onto the Shoyu. He's not going to be anywhere near you, right?
Yep, exactly. And at this point, it's very glaring, right? How do they approach Destro? Because he is going to be extremely far away during the fights. And even if you expend the flash, it's going to cost you quite a lot.
And not only that, right, we've seen Billy on the Zhongfei. We made a point of this yesterday, Ken, that he was a very aggressive roam style support, right? He was able to be up and across the map, do damage, and that's the other thing you got to contest here. But speaking of contest, okay, Maxi is taking a lot of damage from the Byron here, but we get in Lemesh come through with the Mai Shiranui. First blood goes to Andy as well, and they are not looking to stop there. Reiku maybe a little bit overcommitted here. Cozy is trying to do a little bit of damage just to push away the side of Leviathan, because if Cozy was not there, it would have been trouble for them.
That was a big bait. You could tell Leviathan were already aware of the rotations coming in from Influence Rage. So at this point, small wins, but it's something that could potentially turn into a much bigger problem later on.
Yeah, definitely something that coming to fruition, but my gosh, Lemesh was able to just weave in and out of that fight, just like most of these great players on Mai Shiranui. It's just so refreshing to see somebody that's been playing mages for the past 24 hours come onto the Gorge right now and play that assassin. Though the hero that can get a lot of spotlight here, but Cozy is doing pretty well going head-to-head in the lane against the Mai Shiranui.
Yeah, at this point, Cozy will not be caught out, but there are all 5 members transitioning down towards that farm lane. They want to put a little bit more pressure. They know that this Crimson Golem is being taken at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see where they were going with that rotation, right? We thought that it was going to go into the jungle. Obviously, the neutral objectives aren't up for another 40 seconds or so now, but it looks like they're just trying to freeze this mid lane, just trying to get a bit more priority, get some more gold for themselves.
Yeah, very clear that they have communication, right? The Mai, Lemesh already backs up because the information from the Ogren, Mr. Andy, was that, hey, they are transitioning up towards the top lane. You should be careful how you're walking into the bush.
Yeah, you don't be face checking those bushes with your face, which we've seen one too many times, and it goes horrible. But the path of passing goes through just to put a little bit of pressure on there, trying to steal that jungle camp from the side of Influence Rage. Getting a little bit of engage here into the mid lane. Potential battle here. We want to see that cameraman, please see what's going on. We see Charlotte rotating round as well, because that neutral objective is now just come onto the board.
Yep, Cozy falling a bit low, will be up to scratch at this point, but Billy has already expended that beast form. This might cost them the fight if they don't take it rightly, but it's Leviathan, so no worries there. They secure it for themselves.
Yeah, Tyrant going over to Leviathan is pretty immense, right? That damage coming from the Shoyu is going to be huge. But not only that, the Mai Shiranui is going to get that lightning rod effect on those abilities, get that chain lightning that's going to be able to try and make clearing these waves a little bit easier for her.
Yeah, right now, in terms of the mid laners, it's really who gets their second core item first, right? Or their first core item in this case. You can tell, right? The Cozy, he's going for maybe the Frozen Breath or Mask of Agony, either one of these, or maybe even the Venomous Staff. But on the flip side, oh, hang on.
Yeah, speaking of flip side, we do see that Raikou is a little bit in too deep there, but Lemesh can make a caught out. Oh, okay. The last hit comes from the Hue-1, but it seems like Leviathan's not happy with that result. They've lost one of their teammates, but there seems to be a little bit of a split fight here, a little bit of a duel in the wild west of that farm lane, as they're able to take that T1 as well. So they do lose lose a life, sorry. They do lose Lemesh, but they are able to pick up that T1. We see that Byron's able to activate that ultimate just to keep himself alive, but Andy is sticking around close. Path of Passing coming through.
Yeah, this is exactly what we expect out of the farm lane for Leviatan.
So far, so good, right? I mean, we're looking at that goal difference. It's literally neck to neck, right? There is not much in it, but 2-1. Okay, we do see that Sony goes down. Maxi making the most of that T1 takedown now, thanks to the minions. So that is huge priority for Leviathans in these side lanes.
Yep, so Leviatan just really tip-top of the game, right? They are making the waves and the rotations necessary to keep them at bay, but also secure farm for themselves.
Yes, right now it's looking a little bit struggle here. You can kind of tell from Influence Rage's play, right? They're trying to just take some of these the jungle farm from the side of Leviathan, and that's all really what they have in their arsenal right now, because they have no priority in these lanes. We see that Lady Chen is trying to force the minions into the T1, but then we see that Maxi is on the ball. He's just playing macro very well.
Yeah, here's the two things that I'm really concerned about. Number one, it's about the ultimates coming out from Vilao, right? And secondly is the ultimates coming out from Billy, because both of the ultimates are seriously important. Butterfly effect for Vilao will enable them to take a very good fight. Likewise, the same can be said of Billy. And so far, depending on how it goes, it seems like every time Billy expands that beast form, they will want to look for something.
I have to give note to the rotations here on Leviathan, right? We're seeing that Lemesh is all over the spot. We see him up into the clash lane, forcing the minions into that T2. We saw a little bit like a racing game, right? They're just kind of like driving next to each other, waiting for the last person to get that last nudge just to knock them over the edge, right? And right now, Billy is looking like he is going to be the victim to Hue-1 once more, getting those last hits. But we see that Destro almost got caught out there by the Byron, but no, Lemesh comes through, saving the day. Destro has got a wildcard for him, but while this is all going on for the T1 into the mid lane, we are seeing that Maxi's going for that great macro push. We're seeing for him for proxy farming those minions between the higher ground turrets and the T2, allowing that T2 to fall into clash lane. So once more, some great priority here for Leviathan.
Yep, it's a very hard tunnel vision coming in. Yes, they lose the Crimson Golem, but they lose a T2 on the top, and this is quite punishing for the side of Influence Rage, right? Leviathan now, once the situation resets, they have so much more map control.
Yeah, and this is the problem, right? This is hard spot to come back from. Yes, they're able to break into the T1, which we always say is quite crucial for your team. You should be keeping that alive, kind of like a little bit of a ground zero, right? Because you don't want to be giving over your jungle to the enemies. And right now, Hue-1 is able to just kind of weave her way in. Raikou, as we know, has no fear, has been playing quite ballsy throughout the entire of this tournament.
Yeah, and you can start to see the dangers of having a soldier in the hands of Leviathan, right? There is no one that has been successful in taking out Destro just yet.
Yeah, Destro has definitely had a saving grace from Lemesh, right? If it wasn't for Lemesh, Destro would have gone down, but it looks like they're using the bait of this tyrant here. Vilao looking pretty low. We see that Zhongzi is having to try and get out there, but Destro getting caught out, as we were just saying that Destro has not yet been caught out. We see that Influence Rage is like, check please on Destro, he's mine.
Well, he likes to prove us wrong, and once again, he has proven us wrong at this point. But Leviathan, I don't think they're suffering too much, right? They now put their attention towards that Overlord. Very good timing at this point, but with the debuff itself, right? It might be a little bit risky for them, as the Shadow versions will approach and despawn at the 10-minute mark.
I suppose it's just to give more pressure into these lanes, right? I mean, Influence Rage is definitely no short or stranger of the pressure they're suffering right now within these side lanes. They are able to take that T1 into the farm lane, but it looks like Petroni's trying to get that T1 into the clash lane as well, and he's able to get it right. So that means he's able to form up with the rest of Influence Rage. This could be a huge engage for them coming through. We have the minions, but the Vanguards are here to try and wipe them out, but they are not standing still. Cozy taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's a huge sign of relief for the the side of Influence Rage. Now they even out the odds of the lane, so they can buy a little bit more time to really work on the other sides of the map as well. Right now, Andy suffering, being pushed out of his own jungle by all, no, not really all, but 4 different members on the side of Influence Rage. And this is going to open up the doors for the Shadow Tyrant.
Yeah, I feel like the tempo has been found here for Influence Rage because they are rotating like an absolute unit. They're able to get this Tyrant, the Shadow Tyrant as well, which is going to serve greatly for Petroni. And not only Petroni, but Cozy going into it. We've seen Lady Chen have massive amounts of damage, even secure MVPs for some of these players that are on the Gorge right now. But speaking of the Gorge, we see that the Unbridled Rage comes through. Byron straight into the back, taking out Lamesh. And it looks like it's not going to end there. Billy goes down as well. Billy go gruff. And we see the Conductor of Souls come through, but it's not going to be enough. Byron is able to take down Ogren as well. That has been a great way to get them back on the saddle. Influence Rage with a 3K lead.
Yep, they found their groove, and Destru, he's going to try here, but I think he might be in a sticky situation.
Yes, so we're seeing a potential invade here before Destro. He may be a little bit too lost for wears. We're seeing Sony coming in with a very aggressive dash there, trying to get the knock up, but there we go. Lady Chen, I think it was pretty much a ridden tail there for the side of Leviathan. Destro a little bit overextended. We are seeing that there's 2 members of Influence Rage trying to combat and take the high ground turret. Oh, Petroni getting the kill.
Yeah, that's a huge turnaround for the side of Influence Rage, right? Leviathan, they just can't control Petroni, and this is why you don't give him the Lung, right? He's so sick on it.
Yeah, the Lung is sick with the flow and the dragon, right? He's able to use this perfectly. I've already made quite a good note of Petroni being able to use that ultimate to perfection. But again, we're getting a bit of a split push here. High ground turret goes down into the clash lane for the side of Leviathan. So again, greatly pressed at the crystal. Influence Rage really putting their name to staple.
Yep, they're looking for more though, Leviathan. They need to get some kills here, or it's going to be entirely unworthy of the efforts they put in for the first half of the game. 12 minutes in, they're already trailing by 7,000 gold.
It's kind of like we got a bad influence from Melvinus Gaming, right? We're going on to Leviathan because that first part of the game was stupendous for Leviathan. Great rotations. They had the tempo. They had the priorities in the lanes. Right now, they're definitely playing with their foot off the pedal.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because right now the sustain is coming through. Breakthrough robe even for the side of Raikou. He just is going to be a handful. He does have Pierce, he does have tank, he does have the heals. It's so hard to fight against Raikou at this point.
Yeah, we've even got Maxi playing on the back foot, right? We've been seeing some great macro plays from this player all the way for this game up until the 13-minute mark, but Maxi is now being forced to play at that 1 foot behind in a defensive position. But hey, sometimes I say the greater offense is a defense, right, Ken?
Yeah, and you can see, right, the formula is working exactly how Influence Rage wants it to be, which is to have Petroni just essentially unbothered, right? They don't really have to care about him. He's free to roam however he wants in the fights. And when you give Lung so much space, he's going to be able to do too much damage to your front lines and your back lines.
Yes, Leviathan's got to be really careful here that they don't give over the Shadow Overlord, but I don't think they have much choice as Petroni gets a last hit onto the Shadow Overlord here. We could see a huge engage. We see the Unbridled Outrage comes through from Billy. Andy looking like he's in trouble. There is no conductor amount of souls that you can do to save yourself in that situation, especially with the high ground turrets taken down. Show You has gone insta-kill of 80%. That is so much damage coming from Petroni right now. That is too much for the side of Leviathan to deal with.
Yeah, and this is a perfect situation if you're coming in from Influence Rage. Even though Billy is still alive, right? But he does not have his ultimate. His passive is way far from where it needs to be.
Yes, speaking of ultimates, we do have Cozy with the ultimate. We have a lot of engage here. We have a lot of damage coming through from the side of Influence Rage, taking game 1 from what we thought